What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Welcome to Wire Sports Podcast, episode number 261. God damn, that's a lot. I'm your host for one night and one night only, Uncle Shally Bill Shawcross. And my man that's going to help me hold it down tonight, my Buckeye brother from another mother, Mr. Cottrell Simpson. How are you, sir?
Feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. Another big time week of sports upcoming this week. Got a lot of stuff happening right now. And I know I said it last week, but like just even feeling a week past from where we were at even last week, like this truly feels like we've really hit that sweet spot of potentially best time of the year as far as sports goes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a sports fan right now, there's something for everybody. You have college football, pro football. We had a UFC event last weekend. NBA is getting ready to start. NHL opened last night, actually, and Major League playoffs are in the divisional series. Um, and that's not even counting all the other, stuff going on outside at like,
NBA
soccer.
preseason just
Yep,
started.
yep, soccer, F1. It's everything. There's something on for everybody every day of the week right now. So um, tonight, just gonna be a two-man show. It's gonna be me and Cottrell, just talking sports. Gene had some stuff come up, and we love him, and he need to be with his family tonight. So Gene is going to take the evening off. But like I said, we love him and thinking about him and the family. So uh, just going to be me and Control tonight. You're stuck with us. So I know everybody's going to miss Gene singing and all that good stuff. But next week, my man will be back as always with all his energy and everything else that he brings to the show, all the good stuff. So. Um,
Absolutely.
we will try to do him proud this evening. We're gonna start with Hotwire. To Cottrell's point, we got a ton. We got a ton to get into. Previews. We got a ton to go over from last week because a lot of crazy stuff happened last week. So we got can't really waste any time bullshitting here. So we got to hop into it. Hotwire. Let's go.
All right, perfect. So I mean, sticking with the trend that we've had pretty much for the last 3-4 weeks at this point, WNBA playoffs is happening, and right now we are in the WNBA finals. The Aces are up 2-0 over the Mercury. I was kind of surprised to see it, play out this way. Obviously, the Aces have been at the end of the regular season going into the playoffs. They were the hottest team. They have the best player in the league, but they definitely had some scares throughout the way. First round, we talked about it with the Storm. They were on the brink of elimination there. Then the following round against the Fever. I mean, it took all the injuries and everything that happened in that series to ultimately fall the right way for the Aces to prevail in OT in in the series clincher. But now they've just come out and, Phoenix, to Phoenix's credit, they've given them a good punch. Like they've definitely been going after the Aces there, but the Aces are just too strong right now through the first two games. Bill, what's your thoughts so far on the WNBA finals?
I think we all agreed last week the Aces weren't playing great basketball at that specific moment, and we all thought they were going to have to pick it up a little bit to get by Phoenix, who is playing great basketball and hot at the same time. Um, which sounds a little weird to say because the Aces pretty much finished the season on like a 17 game winning streak or whatever it was.
Yep.
But they looked a little sloppy in the first round. Phoenix came out, punched them right in the mouth game one. To the Aces credit though, they came out second half, played strong, pulled out game one, and then pretty much controlled game two. So they play tonight, I believe.
Yep. 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So Phoenix, I think it's always a thing. It's not a series until somebody loses at home. So Phoenix comes out tonight, with the crowd behind them, play with some emotion, get off to a good start, which they've done in both games, and then kind of be able to hold that momentum, hold that line, play four quarters that way, get it to 2-1, and then you're in good shape. But I think this Aces team kind of, I hate to say it, I think they kind of took the punch in the mouth game one, kind of woke up, pulled that out, looked really good in game two. Um, I think this is, this to me I know I just said it's not as serious as the home team loses, but at the same time, this to me feels like the Aces are kind of going back on all their experience and kind of flex their muscles here and kind of can see the end, kind of see the finish line in the very near future here. And I think Phoenix might be in a little bit of trouble.
The crazy part about this to me is that Phoenix had been looking so good up until this point, and it's not to say they're looking bad in the WNBA finals, but with the Aces, it almost felt like as good as some of the players that they have on the roster are, it almost felt like as we got into the playoffs, like them not having that experience all together. Like people forget, like this is the first year of them not having Kelsey Plum, a part of that big time core there. And so while they have Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young on the team, Jewel Lloyd on the team there as well, like I swear in that series against the Fever, especially, like it just felt like that wasn't the Aces team that won on that crazy win streak. It just felt like a group of individual, really good players just outwilling a team who was, really hurt. But in this series, it hasn't been that. They've played a great collection of team ball, really with that big three with Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray, and then of course A'ja Wilson leading the way there as well. So I mean, with that said, you keep saying it's not a series until the home team loses. Do you think the series ends tonight, or do we go to a game 4?
See, man. I think it'd be such a disservice to Phoenix to come this far, and kind of like you said, even like with the players in Vegas has lost, just kind of like the next version of Phoenix, like like you kind of like officially out of like the Taurasi phase and all that stuff, and to come this far to get swept would be kind of crazy. I think they win tonight. I could see Vegas closing it out in Game 4, though. I think I'll stick with Game 4. I think Phoenix will muster enough behind the crowd and play, a full 4 quarters tonight. I think they get the job done tonight.
So I think Phoenix, of course, is going to give them everything that they have. I think at this point, Vegas has played with fire too much, and they should have ended the Storm series early. They let the Fever come out and steal game 1. Well, not steal it, but they just came out flat out dominated. I think now the blood is being smelt in the water there for Vegas. I think they take care of business tonight. I think it's a very entertaining game, but I like Vegas to take care of business tonight and complete a sweep that I 100% did not see coming. I thought this was going to go the distance, but just the way that these first 2 games have gone so far, I think Vegas knows that this is an opportunity to strike yet again here. So I like the Aces to win tonight.
Full sweep, full broom. All right.
But moving on, we'll see what happens with that. And I'm sure we're going to recap it again here next week. But moving on, got some UFC news. So Conor McGregor, who hasn't fought in the UFC, it felt like in forever, has officially accepted an 18-month period of suspension for violation of the UFC's anti-doping policy. McGregor missed 3 attempted biological sample collections within a 12-month period in 2024. And so that ultimately means his suspension stems from September 20th of 2024, and it will finish March 20th of 2026. Now, this is important because McGregor has been everywhere talking about how he wants to fight on the UFC White House card, which Donald Trump has announced that card is going to be June 14th at the White House. So that would mean that's going to clear the way for McGregor to be, ready to rock and roll for that fight there. Bill, just kind of given the news here and with everything going on, with that White House card especially, what are your thoughts here of Conor McGregor's suspension and then ultimately Conor McGregor's return?
So when it first broke, I thought it was a big deal. If you follow Conor on social media or anything like that, and you have eyeballs. I mean, I don't think it's too much of a of a stretch to come to the conclusion that he's probably been on some get big juice.
He's definitely
But
had some juice.
he's he's been drinking the juice. Now I heard the 18 month, and the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, that sucks. To your point, he's not going to be on this White House card. And then I read the article, and it's like, oh yeah, well, we're going to retroactive it back like 14 months. And I was like, all right, so what's the big deal then? Like, so he's suspended for the next 3 or 4 months. He wasn't going to fight then anyway. Um, he'll probably keep juicing, and then he'll go back in the pool. What come March? I think. Or when you say that March?
Yeah, it ends on March 20th.
So he'll be back in the pool March 20th. He'll have to get back in the pool right away to fight on the White House card, and I'm sure he'll pass his test, and then he'll go fight. So again, it was kind of one of those, like, it definitely wasn't clickbait, but like I saw it, I was like, oh damn, like that's a year and a half. Like Connor's not young anymore. Like
That might be it.
that might be
might
it.
not see him
Like,
again.
yeah. And like you said, I feel like he hasn't fought in forever anyway. I feel like he's not super. He's just made so much money. He's such a celebrity. Like I think I've said it before on the show, when you get to a certain point in life with stuff like that, it's really hard to keep that edge, to keep that focus, kind of like to keep that anger, to want to keep fighting at that level. You just look around, you're like, I'm gonna drive to the gym in my $300,000 Lamborghini. Like, how mad am I? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's got yachts, like he's got like 9 houses. Like, I'm happy he's gonna be on the card, assuming he starts passing his test and gets back in the pool. Um, I'm still curious to see how this whole thing is gonna work. Um, I think it's ridiculous we're gonna have a UFC pay-per-view at the White House, but that's neither here nor there. Um, but as long as he's cleared and ready to go, then I guess it's a good thing for the UFC, because, as we all know, if you put his name up on the billboard and say he's going to fight, the man's a draw. He's going to sell. Win, lose, or draw, people are going to buy it because people want to watch Conor McGregor. So I guess it's all good for UFC. I'm glad it's conveniently going to work out timeline wise for Dana. And I guess we'll go from there.
So I will say the one thing though because I've been trying to keep up with this Conor news here. The one thing that you said that's actually not the case is that Conor's actually getting tested as of now. So he's officially put his name back in the USADA pool. So although he is a part of this suspension, he can get drug tested at any point now. So the juice has officially stopped at this point. Well, if he wants to fight on that card, but we also know how the UFC works, though. I mean, they may have it to where Conor is juicing the entire time, and we don't find out until 2 weeks after the fight actually happens, and then they go with this 36-month suspension or something crazy, and Conor's like, I wasn't going to fight again anyway, so I don't care.
Well, that and UFC will have the money in the bank already, so it won't matter.
So, I mean, we've seen the UFC do that plenty of times. Like, I just think about the John Jones fights where it's literally been 2 weeks afterwards, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, actually, we found this substance in John's body, whether it be cocaine or the picogram of whatever the hell it was that time that he fought DC. So UFC is definitely no strangers to, hiding some tests until they want to reveal everything. I mean, this case specifically is the perfect example of that. Dating it back to September 20th of last year. Like, that's insane. But I'm sure we'll talk more Conor once we get closer to that White House card. But speaking of talking more Conor, perfect little segue here. We're going to go over to the NHL. We don't talk NHL much on here, but when the best player in the sport, in my opinion, gets a new deal, it's worth bringing up here. And with the NHL season being underway at this point there as well, and it just being us two today, I feel like this is the perfect time to kind of bring this up here. So Connor McDavid got extended for 2 years for $25 million. Now, when I first saw it, I looked at it and I thought that this is an extreme hometown discount. I was like, this is, again, like I said, the best player in hockey. Feel like he could have, really took them to the bank on this one. But that was just my initial thoughts. And I don't fully understand how hockey and, what goes into paying, these guys in their league there. So, Bill, definitely want to get some insight, from you. What did you think about the extension? And then, two, why was it such a hometown discount? Or, tell me why it wasn't a hometown discount.
Oh, it's a hometown discount because I promise you, if Connor McDavid hits free agency, he's getting a lot more than $12 million a year. I want to say the highest paid player in the NHL right now is like 17, maybe. And Connor will get that all day. This was him taking a hometown discount to save them some money, to hopefully go out and find a goalie and maybe another defenseman and shore up that backside. Because if we're being honest, that's the reason they've lost the last 2 cups. And I think this is also a deadline for Edmonton. This is him saying, you guys got 2 more years. And if we don't win it in the next 2 years, I'm out of here. And I'm going to go get my money and I'm going to go somewhere else where I think I can win a cup. So this is, in some degrees, this was a favor for the Oilers. But in others, it was, hey, like, this is it. Like, it's put up or shut up. Like, go get me people that can help me win a cup and make me stay here and play my whole career here. If not, when this contract's up, he'll only be 30. So, I mean, he's got plenty of hockey in him. So it's, like I said, this is also a, I don't want to call it an ultimatum, but that's kind of what it is. Go spend the money I just saved you and get a couple other good players on this team, specifically a goalie. Use the cap space to go get a goalie because the NHL pretty much has a hard cap. And we got to win a cup in the next 2 years or I'm gone. And that will be devastating for Edmonton if he walks out of town without a cup and leaves for free agency, because I don't think there's a chance he stays there after these next 2 years if they don't win a cup.
I mean, definitely makes sense. It feels like they've been on the cusp a couple times here, of course. And he's done it, all that he could to try and help that team win there. Just wanted to say what's up to the chat. What's up, Key? What's going on, John?
John Suggs, thank you. Yeah.
I was going to say
Kaprizov was the one that just got 17. That's what I thought. And Connor McDavid's getting that all day. So, I mean, again, it's a significant, $10 million in hockey goes a long way. It goes a lot further than it does in any other sport. So $10 million, you can significantly improve your team with $10 million. So he gave it to him, and we'll see what happens. But like I said, I think that is Connor officially putting Edmonton on the clock. Gave you a decade, gave you everything. Like you said, been the best player on the planet for a long time. Can't keep losing Stanley Cup final games 5-4.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If you're telling me, like, if I'm a Flyers fan, obviously, if you're telling me my team is going out almost every night and scoring 3 or 4 goals, and I'm not winning games, there's a problem. So, and don't get me wrong, they have a lot of money tied up in a lot of people. I mean, obviously Connor, Leon Draisaitl's still there, who's a stud in his own right. But again, I mean, just find me somebody that stops the puck like, a good amount of the time instead of sometimes. And they probably have won a cup. So I'm glad we got another hockey guy and John Suggs in here, though. I appreciate that.
So do you think ultimately during this window here, gave him the 2-year extension, does Edmonton get it done within that window, or do we see him walk? Because I think it would be absolutely wild if Connor McDavid at 30 years old is on the free market and everybody in the league can just bid on him.
Oh, part of me thinks that's what hockey needs, but there will be every team in the NHL will try to figure out a way to get him and afford him. There's nobody that would be like, you know what, we're not getting in the Connor McDavid sweepstakes. No, you're lying. Everybody's going to be in.
Well, I know one team that won't, by the way. And they actually reside in Columbus because they wouldn't spend the money on them. But
there will be. I mean, I would even say. I mean, I think the Flyers will be involved in it. But you know, John Briggs, any team that is responsible cap wise, Hurricanes. Again, I mean, this isn't going to be a 2 or 3 team thing. There will be double digits amount of teams trying to put a package together to make it work. But back to your other question, I thought last year. I mean, I would actually say the last 2 years. I think they was a really good time in like their window to win one. You got some teams that are retooling this year, but you got some teams that are getting people back and are going to be healthy. I think Colorado is going to be really good this year. I think the West is going to be tough. I mean, you look at the Kings who are kind of young. They're getting better. Vegas will be good. Sugg, mentioned them locking Eichel up. I mean, it's the West. The West is going to be tough. I think the East is a little bit more wide open, but
Boston's going to be good.
No, Boston's one of those teams I think it's kind of young and retooling. I mean, you look at who they lost the last couple of years and who they traded. Florida will be very good again, which is just the craziest thing in the world. Florida Panthers, just NHL powerhouse.
Tampa,
but yeah, it's. But again, I would say minus Florida, if they get out of the West again, I think they're favored against everybody else, but maybe Florida.
Last question I had with McDavid, just while we're here, is it? I guess I'd be curious to know if he comes, to the States. Does he become obviously best player in hockey? We know what he is in Canada. Like, I'm sure he's probably an icon over there, especially with the Canadian national team and everything. But with him coming to the States, do you think that would make him a bigger star? Or will that take away from some of the allure with McDavid? I'm sure he'll still play nationally, but I'm sure he has such a tie, especially now. I mean, he's been in Edmonton his entire career at this point. Do you think that'll take away from him, or you think that's going to elevate him to an even higher level?
I think it could only go higher depending on where he went. It's not going to diminish him. I mean, he's the face of the league. I mean, he is. I will tell you, he's the first hockey player I think in a long time that very casual people still know who he is.
For sure.
And that is getting you into Wayne Gretzky, Lemieux, that type territory. That's what he is. I mean, that's just what he is. I think it would depend on what kind of market he went to. If he ended up in Philly or, like, God forbid, he went to like the Rangers, yeah, I mean, he'll get bigger. He'll get bigger. He will.
For
sure. I really think it would depend on the market. Because there are. It's funny because it's ironic because we were talking about hockey today in the office, and we were saying how big of a deal it'll be if he wins one there, because just Canada just loves hockey and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at like parade and celebrations and everything else, like, you would put all the Canadian teams at the top of that list of like who's going to celebrate the hardest and the longest.
For sure.
If their team wins a cup. And then there is the handful of the big market hockey teams in the States. Like, you have Boston, the Rangers, the Flyers, Detroit, Chicago. They're probably the top ones. Where, again, if we win a Stanley Cup, this city will burn something down. We always do. But it'll be a really big deal. But I don't think any of that, like, I don't even know how many people live in Edmonton, but I promise you, there will be more people in Edmonton for a parade than there would be at a Flyers one. And again, that is our city who would celebrate the hell out of it. It's just different in Canada. hockey is everything that is to Canadians. So,
and I guess that's really where the question stems from, though, is because like, would they feel betrayed in a sense that he decided to go over to the States? And granted, he gave him the discount. He said, "Hey, $12 million a year, go out, make us competitive. We got to win one." But still, like, they're like, "You're one of us. Like, you're the best player in hockey. You're going over to the States. They don't even care about hockey over there."
There's going to be people, if he leaves and they don't win one, there's people that are going to be literally heartbroken. There's no way around it, and I would be too. Like, you're losing the face of the NHL, and you're losing the best player on the planet. There's no way around that. But to your point, I mean, there was people last year talking about giving him the Conn Smythe in a losing effort because he played so well.
Yeah.
That kid has left his heart on the ice every time they've gotten to the playoffs, every time they've gotten to the finals. It's not because he doesn't show up. He's shown up. Like that kid plays his ass off. He plays hard. If you give a city 10 years of your life and you don't get it done, I don't think anybody can be mad if you walk away to go try to win one somewhere else. That's my personal. Again, will people be upset? Yeah. Are going to people be mad? Yeah. Are people going to be butthurt? Absolutely. But they really, in my opinion, they don't have a real reason to be other than just being emotionally attached to somebody. Because to your point, he didn't have to do this, and he did, and that's him again committing to be like, I want to win one here. I mean, it's a little bit like the LeBron thing, if we're being honest.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting to bring it up. I was like, literally, if he doesn't make the decision, if you just say I'm going somewhere else and you don't do the show, it's like, damn, like you want to go play with them. Like we hate that, but at least we understand because Cleveland didn't do anything wrong.
It's what it is. And I'm sure, 10 years from now, LeBron will come out and say it. If he could get in the DeLorean, gun it, and go back, he wouldn't do it.
Yep.
And I think it's crazy because that point in time, I think flips so many people on LeBron. I think if he doesn't do that, I think it's so different what his situation and how he'd be looked upon now is. Like how much, again, it's still mostly positive, but like I truly believe he would be in that like everybody across the board likes Michael Jordan. Like for most part, everybody across the board loves Kobe. Like, and I feel like he would be in that stratosphere with those guys if he didn't do it. But I don't think Connor will hold a press conference and say he's going somewhere else. But I think Edmonton's on the clock. I think they got 2 years to get it done. And then I think worst case scenario, even if he does leave after that and they win one, he fulfilled what he said he was going to do in Edmonton. So
for sure,
I think it's a can't lose for him.
Sweet. Well, that's it this week for Hotwire. Definitely wanted to touch on that since the news it broke there. I guess I would be putting you on the spot here. You got any early picks for the Stanley Cup this year?
It's too early. I don't. I mean, I think there was only like 2 or 3 games last night, and there's a couple tonight, and I think the majority of everybody opens tomorrow night. It's too early. Hockey's weird, man.
Well, of course it's early. That's why I'm asking you now before you get to see people play and form ideas.
Again, the East, it's hard to say anybody but Florida with what they have coming back and what they kept and they're defending champs. I still like Carolina, but they always seem to get to that point where they get in a series where they have to score a lot and they can't. They're like the opposite of Edmonton. Like they play great, great defense, always have good goaltending, but just can never get over the hump offensively. Everybody else, I think, is, I think Washington will probably hang in there. And everybody else is like, nah, it's like a toss up. Like there's so many young teams in the East that are kind of rebuilding. And then, like I said, the West, if it's not Colorado, Edmonton, or Vegas, I would be surprised coming out of the West. I guess you can still throw Dallas in there because they've been so good the last couple of years, but they're another one. They seem like they can't get over the hump. So I'd be curious to see what. Yeah, see, he threw Dallas in there too. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think those four teams are clearing away the best four in the West. But again, they're going to beat the hell out of each other to get out of the West. So it's going to be tough.
For sure. Well, like I said, that's it for Hot Wire. Get you out the hot seat here. But we got some playoff baseball to talk about, Bill. We got the playoff baseball to talk about. I'm already disappointed. I'm sure you're going to tell me why you're disappointed, because our teams have not shown up this. Well, my team didn't show up this postseason. Your team is currently not showing up this postseason, but they still have an opportunity to turn things around there. I don't know where you want to. I don't know what series, what game you want to recap the rounds from last round for the wild card. I don't know where you want to go here, but I know there's going to be some disappointment talks from both of us about our prospective teams.
I mean, I don't care. We could actually start with Toronto and New York, because that series has been wild and entertaining. I thought Toronto was going to sweep them last night. Their bullpen gave the game away, and Aaron Judge
6-1 and lose.
What?
You said you go up 6-1 and lose? Like, that's
they kind of let the Yankees kind of chip away, and then Aaron Judge just hit that monstrous home run, both physically and just momentum shifting wise. But New York has the problem that we've talked about for the last couple. They just don't have the pitching, and and I think Toronto finished the season hot. They've come into the playoffs hitting really well. Again, I mean, they got 2 games left. I don't know if the Yankees have the pitching to win both. I don't, because Toronto's going to get back to they're going to get back to Gausman eventually at some point as well, and their bullpen will probably be ready to go. Last night was the first night they really pitched, so I think Toronto's going to take care of business, have it be either tonight or they play tonight, so they probably wouldn't play again until Saturday, maybe Friday, or they play Saturday. They go back to Toronto. But that series has been fun. Vlad, I'm sure everybody's seen the viral Vlad Guerrero grand slam and bat toss. Is very gave me the goosebumps, like the Jose Bautista one back in the day. They're playing well though. They've been fun to watch. So if they keep hitting the ball like that, again, if you're telling me in playoff baseball you're going to average 8 runs a game, then your pitching doesn't really have to be that great. It's just got to be sufficient. And the Yankees are, they're going to fight. They're going to claw. I'm sure they'll play well tonight, at Yankee Stadium in front of the home crowd. But they got to get off to a better start, and not having to rely on a one at bat type situation. And again, Aaron Judge came through like he does more often than not. Huge home run. Wasn't really a bad pitch. Just a great swing by him. But I still think Toronto's a better team. And I don't trust the Yankees pitching to get out of that series.
I mean, I definitely don't trust the Yankees pitching to get out the series. I mean, you talked about the Blue Jays are averaging 8 runs at this point a game. You give a 13 piece, you get a 10 piece, and you lose a game where you score 6. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. And I think that before that home run, there really should have been an APB put out for Aaron Judge at that point. You're going to be I don't know for certain, but I'd imagine you're going to be the league MVP. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr., yet again, showing that he is an absolute superstar. The fact that he's, I think, 8 for 13 in this series, and he's had a walk as well. Like, it feels like every time Vlad steps to the plate, runs are going to be coming across, whether it be from a home run, whether it be just a big time hit. And then the run that he scored when he was hustling from second, and he went full Superman dive to the plate was absolutely incredible. Because we know Vlad Guerrero Jr. is not known necessarily for his athleticism there. So for me, this has been crazy to see too, because this is a Blue Jays team that doesn't have Bo Bichette. Like, I think that is the part that's very impressive. Like the fact that you can add a Bo Bichette to this lineup is absolutely incredible. So definitely give a ton of credit to the Blue Jays there. I'm curious to see, though, with this Yankees team, if, and I know they didn't get swept, but if they do lose tonight, what do they do with Aaron Boone? Because obviously, I mean, it's clear as day. If you watch baseball, even if you don't watch baseball, if you watch this series or just watch the games in general that the Yankees lose, it's almost always because of their bullpen. I mean, they were losing games with Max Fried pitching well, and then you hand it over to your bullpen, and just they don't have enough to get it done. So I'm curious, do they actually address that? Because we've been saying the Yankees need to address their bullpen since the inception of this show, and they haven't done it. So are they going to ultimately just say, hey, Aaron Boone, we're going to get you out of here, we're going to get a new voice in that locker room, and just kind of really go from there? Or are they going to say, hey, we've seen the reason why we can't get it done in the playoffs, and it's a big part of pitching. I know we get Cole back next year, but we have to improve the bullpen. So I'm curious to see how this series ends, and then because, I mean, I think ultimately you're going to get the Blue Jays advance in one way or another, whether it's tonight or it's on Friday. I think that's inevitable with how they're hitting. I'm just curious to that next step.
Top three, they're up 1-0 right now. Toronto's up 1-0. So I agree with you. They got to address the bullpen. And again, they still got to go get another starter. And to your point, they get Garrett Cole back next year, which is, kind of like signing the best guy off free agency, assuming he's ready to go. Max Fried, has pitched his ass off this year. And then after that, they got a bunch of guys that are like,
Theo Rodon.
Yeah, like they're good sometimes. Other times they're invisible. You can't do it. I mean, you look at the Dodgers, how many guys they got. If Wheeler's healthy, you look at the Phillies 1 through 5, and it's like, I'll throw any one of these guys out there. You know what I mean? And the Yankees, it's like you get past Max Fried right now. It's like, what are we gonna do? Like, there's no answers. I do not think Aaron Boone keeps his job. I was kind of shocked he kept his job last year, if I'm being honest.
Same.
I don't think he survives this year. I don't. Because to your point, I think they have to, I don't want to say overhaul the roster, but they got to get out of that Stanton contract. They got to get out of that Stanton contract somehow. There's a couple other bulky contracts that they can trade or move or get out of them and free up money. They got to do it. And then, like I said, and then invest that money back into the pitching staff and and go from there, because that division is just going to keep getting better. I mean, I think that division got lucky.
Sucked this year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They got lucky with Baltimore kind of underachieving. Tampa always hangs around. And Boston's just going to get better. Boston's young. So, and Boston, I promise you, Boston's going to go out and spend money on their pitching staff to put people behind Crochet. So if they do that, they have a young and up and coming, lineup. That team's going to be really good. So, that's first and foremost. But to answer your question, I don't think Boone gets out of it. I don't.
I just think it's so crazy because this time, like last year, we were all talking about, oh, well, the Blue Jays got to blow it up. Like they underachieved last year, and we were big on, I mean, maybe you signed Vladdy, but everybody else has to go. And they've just come out and said, hey, I think they knew that this was the last dance for them if, things didn't go right. And, to their credit, they've come out and they've been absolutely on fire. So I expect them to win this series. And again, if they keep playing like this, I think they're gonna take the AL pennant.
And you mentioned Bichette. He's not even on the ALDS roster because he's not ready to go yet. But I mean, you got him, and that the rest of that core. I mean, a lot of the other guys aren't even there. You talked 5 years ago with Biggio, and people forget. Chapman was on that team for a while, and they couldn't just get over the hump, and now, here we are. So, I would say, well, it depends who comes out of that other series. I don't want to say that, but I mean, I think if Toronto keeps hitting like this, Toronto's going to be a tough out because you just can't, you can't walk Vlad every time he comes up. You know what I mean? So
Facts.
these guys are going to do damage. So, it's going to be interesting, but in that way, we might as well stay in the AL. Detroit won big today, even that series back up 2-2. Going to go back to Detroit. I don't know. I don't know if Scuba will be on enough rest to pitch that game.
Scuba is the projected starter, so I'd imagine that their manager said it after the game. I didn't see any press conferences or anything, but I did see Scuba is slated to be the starter for that game.
Scuba versus George Kirby. Yep. It's going to be a good one.
Ace versus ace.
Ace versus ace. Friday night. It'll be fun. Back to Seattle.
Crazy thing though is that, like, obviously we know how great Scuba is, and even in the postseason, like, it's not like he gets nerves or anything like that, but this is just eerily similar to the position that he was in last year against the Guardians in the ALDS. Yep. Had to pitch game 5 on a shorter rest, and the stuff was there early, but after he got through the lineup that first time, when he went through the second time, people started catching up to him. So I think this is going to be very interesting to see if the Mariners can hit Skubal just off of the fatigue factor, or is Skubal going to just be the same Skubal that we've seen all year and take care of business here?
Like anything like that, you want to do one of two things. You either want to make him pitch a lot early and get his pitch count up, or just get to him early. He's not a guy, to your point, like you said last year. He got through the first time and they kind of started getting to him. He's not a guy you can let get into a rhythm.
Facts.
If you let him settle in that game and don't put a lot of stress on him, and don't get his pitch count up, then you're flirting with disaster at that point. And Kirby, I think, had got a no decision in the first game. So he's got to come out and pitch well, in his own right. You can't have somebody else go out there against the guy like Scuba and have a guy not keep you in the game. Because again, to think you're going to go out and score probably a bunch of runs off him in the first couple innings, that'd be great. But that's probably a fantasy. So you got to get behind your guy. Your guy's got to go out there and keep you in the game and be like, all right, like you said, second, third time through the lineup, we got to get to him now. We got to give our guy run support. But
yep.
Kirby's got to go out there and keep Seattle in the game and not try to overpitch. Don't go out there and try to be Scuba. Don't go out there and try to be a strikeout pitcher. Just go out there, get ground balls, get outs, give your guys a chance, to see Scuba and get locked in and hopefully steal a couple runs. So that's been a really good series as well. Casey Mize, went out and threw, I think, like 3 1/3, something like that today, and same kind of thing. That's all they really wanted. Get through the lineup 1.5, maybe 2 times, and we'll get to the bullpen and try to steal the game, and that's exactly what they did. So it's going to be interesting. It'll be primetime baseball on Friday night. That will be a fun game to watch for sure.
This series in general, and really throughout the playoffs, even in the wild card round, the resurgence of Javi Baez has been like one of the craziest things to see. Like, all of a sudden he can feel it again. All of a sudden he can hit the cover off the baseball. Like, he's been their best hitter throughout the postseason so far, and that's absolutely crazy to see. He hit well, they were already ahead today, but he hit the insurance home run today on one of the worst pitches I've ever seen, by the way. It was a ball right down the center of the plate. It was you might as well put it on the tee for Javi. But Javi Baez has been playing out of his mind throughout this postseason, and I can't believe it. It's absolutely crazy to see, and honestly see this Tigers team in general just rally how they have after completely, folding down the stretch there has been crazy to see there as well. I knew the series against the Guardians was going to be tight because of the back and forth. Obviously, I'm sure they were tired of hearing about, losing the 15.5 game lead for the division. So I knew that would be tight. But going down in this series and potentially, getting out of there and just being done, they fought back and now they forced it to a game 5. And it just feels like this Tigers team is one of those ones where I don't want to say they're a team of destiny, but it's kind of got that feel to it.
Sometimes things work out for teams like that, and yeah, you don't. It's probably a little too early to call them team of destiny because it's only the second round. But I know what you're saying. It's you're down 2-0, got to go out. Go home, win both games just to get it back to Seattle. But now you are, and now you got your guy on the mound, and now it's like, oh, well, now it's like I know we're away, but like I feel like we're in the driver's seat. So,
yeah,
you need breaks like that. It's baseball is too hard of a sport and determined by too many little things to not get breaks like that to advance. It's just it's what you need. You're not always going to win a series or win a game based upon what you do on the field. But Javi's a great point. Javi, listen, man, Javi coming up in Chicago he was absolutely he was definitely undisciplined, inconsistent, but man, when he was good, I mean, he was electric. He's a guy that at any given time on both sides of have to be hitting or fielding, can do something to make you say, "Wow!" Like, I mean, there's highlight videos of him just tagging people out at second base, like for people trying to steal because how quick he can tag people and taking bad throws and still tagging people out. Um, but we'll see. We'll see who shows up Friday night. You're gonna need everybody.
who you got winning?
Man, I truly like the way Seattle's built because Seattle's built the way I would build a baseball team with 3 or 4 good starters. They went out and got guys that can hit, and they're really good defensively. Um, but there's not that many Scoobles in the world, and if you have one, this is why you have one. This is why you pay him. That's why you never let him go, because he can be the deciding factor in a series. Um, uh, it would be hard for me to bet against him Friday night. It really would.
I'm rolling with Seattle. I and the thing is, I know they're in division rival for us. I didn't even dislike the Tigers up until after game 3 of the wild card series. Everyone's just popping off. They won the series, and I get it. I'm sure they were tired of hearing about it, but we won the division with class. Like we didn't just shit on the Tigers and all that. I'm out on the Tigers. I'm rolling with Big Dumper. Big Dumper gets the home run off of Scooble to get him out of there. 3-run shot, knocks Scooble out the game, and I think that sucks all the sail out of the Tigers. And I think Seattle moves on there. Which, to be honest, I think Seattle's the more entertaining team moving on too. Like I think they're the better overall team, top to bottom. And I would love to see a matchup with them in Toronto for a chance to go to the World Series there.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you on that. I think Seattle versus Toronto is a more compelling series. I think you have a better probably group of players, and outside of the Scooble. I mean, Scooble's the biggest star on Detroit, whereas Toronto, you have a couple guys. I think that would be a really good series. Toronto and Seattle would be very interesting because Seattle, I think, matches up with Toronto to definitely match up with them pitching wise, and it's can they hit enough at that point? So that could be a lot of fun. But we got a lot of got two huge games between now and then to before we even get there. So
The question is though, do you want to rip the Band-Aid off now or do you want to save them for last?
I don't care. This is the part where I'm going to miss Gene because I actually agree with pretty much everything you said last time we were talking about it. I'll say this. I made one comment when we were previewing it that I got a little pushback on, and unfortunately, it's reared its ugly head in both games. I was asked, who's the better manager, and I paused, and it was like, oh, Dave Roberts hasn't won anything with like all that stuff. True, don't disagree. But Rod Thompson is notoriously bad for mismanaging a bullpen, making dumb moves, and both of those things have already happened in the first two games of this series. There's a lot of other things to unpack before we even get to that. And you could say if people were hitting and doing their jobs, it wouldn't have mattered what he did in game one, and they should have even been in the spot they were in game two. And those are all true. I mean, for all the love that Kyle Schwarber's got all year and deservedly so, he doesn't have a batting average. Bryce has not looked good. Trey Turner hasn't looked great. Kind of coming off the injury at the end, a little bit tough, but their bats have gone cold. It's the second year in a row now, and it's hard to justify sticking up for them in certain areas. Pitching has been great. Starting pitching has been great. I'll put it that way. Chris Sanchez pitched his ass off game one. Should have won the game. Brought Robertson in. Max Muncy pretty much got himself out. And at that point, if you're a manager, and this is where a lot of people struggle with Thompson, the one big gripe I have for him is he doesn't have a really good feel of the game. If you were watching
analytics and
and to be a great manager, in my opinion, you have to know when to go by the book, and then you also have to know what your eyes are telling you. And if you watch him struggle with Muncy, and like I said, Muncy gave us a gift by pretty much getting himself out. Robertson was struggling. There is no way on God's green earth you could put Robertson back out there the next inning. None. There's no way. You have Corcoran to use. You had Strom, which you brought in anyway. You have those two guys to get you through an inning and a half to get you to Duran. That's all you have to do. He couldn't go back. There's just no way you leave him back in the game and bang, bang, walk. And then, to Strom's, defense, he got the first two outs, and it wasn't even that terrible of a pitch. It just put in the wrong space to a guy that likes swinging high fastballs. And you have to give, you got to give him credit. He barreled the ball up and hit it out. And then, game two, same kind of situation.
I was going to say, I got two questions. I got two questions for you because I am baffled. First question being, obviously you guys are Philly guys. Like you know your team in and out. How on earth does Nick Castellanos not have a pitch runner on?
Oh, we're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there.
Okay, so I'll let you go through game two because my next question is about game three. So I'll let you get through game two then.
Game two, again, Luzardo goes out, pitches great, keeps him in the game. We get a flash in the pan kind of inning. Get guys on base. Castellanos swings to the shitty pitch, if we're being honest. Puts the bat on the ball, though, hits down the line, almost gets thrown out of second, which would have been just goddamn unforgivable. But you got to give him credit. He got there. It was a great slide. He got there. But at that point, again, nobody's ever going to confuse Nick Castellanos with a fast runner. Like, if you already had it in your mind that you're going to use Bader to pinch hit, and then you're going to have to run for him anyway, you got to, the guy they brought in for him anyway, Weston Wilson should have been put in immediately, or put in somebody else. Anybody else that can run. He can't be the guy. He can't be the guy, and he can't be the guy if he's going on contact. Like, he's got to be the guy almost like, hey, like, all right, they made the play. They're going to go to first. Maybe I could try to steal it or stay there. The whole decision to bunt is that one's tough for me. But again, if you're going with the decision to bunt with Stott, who's going to get a bunt down, he's a good bunter. He's going to put the ball in play. The Dodgers are running what's called calling the wheel play, which means both your corners come in, your second baseman goes to first, shortstop covers third. What it allows you to do, though, if you have any kind of sense in your goddamn head, if you're the runner on second base, it allows you in that instance, when you put the bunt down, and it was a good bunt, you have to give Max Muncy credit. He caught the ball on the first bounce, which means that's a third baseman's golden rule. If you catch the ball on the first bounce, means you usually have time to go to third base. You usually have time to turn and throw. When you see that, there's nobody covering second base. You can go back to second base. You can't have Castellanos running on contact there. You just can't. It's just dumb. And again, that is Thompson's lack of feel for the game and lack of knowledge that just baffles me, just pisses me off. I would, after he showed bunt and you saw what they were coming, I might even let Stott swing away and see what happens, or at least you try to slug bunt, do something to make some kind of confusion, make people, cause chaos to see what happens. But got him thrown out at third, and then lo and behold, of course, Bader comes up, hits a single to left. Like, it's so frustrating. They only gave him a 2-year extension for a reason. I don't know if you can bring him back next year. I really don't.
The other part of that kind of confused me too is I saw a great breakdown from Jimmy Rollins. I don't know if you saw it, but you have Mookie right behind you, and you see Mookie's, moving there with you. At that point, I mean, you saw where Max was too. Like, there was really nobody there at third. Like, Mookie would have been hauling to get over there. And granted, Mookie's going to beat you in a foot race, but if you're going on contact, I don't know how you don't get a better lead. One, Castellanos is obviously slow. Like, we know that. But if you're going on contact, I mean, you might as well be in the position where you're about to steal, because Max isn't there. Like, they're not going to pick you off. I mean, if they pick you off, then, I mean, that's just on you being very slow at that point, because Max was not in a position to get back to cover third there. So I'm almost wondering, like, what was the call there? Like, is that on Thompson? I mean, it's on Thompson for having Castellanos in the game there, but is that at this point, Nick is a vet. Like, Nick should know what to do in that situation, right?
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Like, if you're told, you can't hesitate. Let's put it that way. If you're told, if they were on contact and he puts the ball in play, you have to go. And to your point, Mookie's got to haul ass to get there, because Mookie's only responsibility on the field at that point is to beat him to third base and be in position to field a throw. That's his only responsibility. So again, if you put an even faster guy out there, you take getting picked off out of the equation, because Mookie's got to pretty much cheat even more to get there. Because Max Muncy made a great throw, but if you look at the play, like, Mookie wasn't really like super even like really like set, like
he wasn't.
And that was with Nick. So if you put somebody else out there that can run, like, he has to cheat even more to get there. So I don't necessarily think the bunt was the wrong call. It was the execution. And again, the biggest problem with it is Nick Castellanos cannot be your runner at second base for that play. Can't be. It's just dumb. Like everybody else in the dugout that's available, like he might be the slowest guy on the team minus Alec Bohm. Like that, like those. I mean, I don't know. Schwarber kind of trucks for a little dude. I mean, I don't like literally anybody, and that is, again, and somebody else in the dugout's gonna be like, yo, we're like, are we letting Nick run? Like, that's what we're doing? Nobody raised their hand. It was like, yo, he's slow as shit. Like, we can't do this with it.
Third base coaches needs to look like, what are we doing? Like, throw your hands
somebody
up, like, Nick, we sure? Nick's the guy
Like,
right now.
like for instance, like if this is a softball like equation, that would be like leaving me or Gene in second base to do this. Like, nah, dude, I got six little fast guys in the dugout. Give me one of them. Like, it's just dumb. And again, I don't know how you can be a major league manager and just be like, yeah, we're good with Nick. Like, come on, man. Like,
So
no way.
that leads me right though into game 3 here, and the idea. I want to know your thoughts of Nola being the starter, and they saying like him saying that Ranger is going to be available, probably will pitch, and the reasoning behind it was that Nola's never come out of the bullpen before.
It's a different mentality. It is, and I don't. I think people hear that and they're like, the professional pitchers. That's dumb. It's different. It's different.
So I can 100% understand that aspect of it, but when I tell you, like, as far as pitchers go, and I said this last year, Ranger Suarez is one of those guys where, like, all the guys you throw out there, what Skeens, Scooble, like, throw out all the best names you could think of. Ranger's been a number 3 pitcher, and he comes into the postseason and he is lights out. Like, there is nobody else I would want on the mound than Ranger Suarez, and especially in this position. Like, you're down 2-0 at this point. Your bats haven't been getting it done. Like, I know I need to have limited runs as possible. Are you good with the decision to start Nola? Like, I can understand it from Nola's never come out of the bullpen perspective there. But in my mind, I'm like, if I throw Ranger out there, I know Ranger's about to give me 7 shutouts, 7 one-run innings, and they're going to be strong.
I don't mind the thinking and the strategy on this one. I look at it. I mean, listen, I've been one of the most critical people of Nola for a long time. But that being said, you do have to give him his credit where it's deserved sometimes. If he can go out, I don't think they're looking for anything more than like 3 innings for him tonight. If he can go out and get through the lineup 1.5 times, no runs, 1 run, something like that, and you can get to Ranger and bring Ranger in the 4th or 5th, I think you're looking at Ranger finishing the game, and then you get back to Chris Sanchez tomorrow, and then maybe you got a shot. It is, I think it's the right move. I will say this. You're not going to do it the other way around. Ranger has done it before. And to your point, Ranger's one of those guys, you just see him and it just seems like nothing phases him. So I think you definitely see both of them tonight. I think regardless of how good Nola's start is, I think you see Ranger. I don't think they're going to let Nola go much past the 4th or 5th unless he's like old Aaron Nola and comes out and he's throwing 97. If you get that Aaron Nola, then maybe, but I don't think that's what we're getting tonight. But if you can tell me right now, if I got 4 scoreless innings from Nola, and then you're bringing Ranger in, I would say we have a good chance to win tonight.
So I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. Just for me, like I said, I feel like I know I can get 7 strong from Ranger at any point. And at that point, then I can rely on the bullpen to hopefully finish the job, depending on if we get run support there. And then I think that would open it up for tomorrow, because if you're bringing back Sanchez on short rest, and I don't know what his history is about coming through the bullpen, but I think that would give you more opportunity to have Nola maybe started and then bring in Sanchez, or vice versa. And I know it's a different mentality, but Nola here starting, like, I would just hate for the game to get out of hand early. And I know that he's probably going to be on a short leash with Ranger right behind him. But I just think this opens the door for a potential bad start. And I know you guys, really more so Gene, has been down on Nola. So to have your season essentially be in his hands, it's a little difficult for me to swallow.
Listen, there's a million ways it can go wrong real fast. So, and again, I for somebody who understands kind of the advanced metrics and a lot of the good things Nola does do. I've also been one of the guys that was critical of him when he wasn't doing it and not just kind of, you know, giving him credit all the time for nothing. So, um, you know, we'll see how it goes. Again, I hope he goes on his experience and, um, I think he's capable of going out and doing what they need him to do tonight. Get it to Ranger, hopefully not use anybody else, and then have, some kind of, you have Sanchez on short rest and then have the bullpen fully rested behind him.
So Gene brought up a good point too in the comments. He says Sanchez actually won't be on short rest. I forgot you guys did not play back-to-back
Yeah.
games, so he's actually going to be getting the full 5. So that is definitely an advantage for you guys.
So you go back to him and have a pretty much rested bullpen behind him, and then you get back to Game 5 and hand the ball back to Luzardo, and it's kind of all hands on deck. So that's their game plan. Obviously, the Dodgers have their own, and they have the luxury of being up 2-0. So I think they can be a little bit more conservative probably with what they're going to do. But again, it's tough. It's tough to look at on paper. And you told me through 2 games, Shohei struck out 6 times, 7 times, whatever the hell it is, and I'm like, oh, like there's no way it's worse than like a split. But this time of year, man, little things lead to big things, and if you don't do the little things right, um, you lose games, which are big things. It's every little thing. Every little thing matters in playoff time.
You think they get it done tonight?
I mean, it's hard for me to sit on here and say like, yeah, we're gonna get swept. I mean, they've done it to themselves. I like part of me is already like part of me in my head's already just been like, yeah, baseball season's over. But I think they'll win tonight. I don't know if we get it back to Philly though. I think that's a tall task right now, but one game at a time, play one inning at a time, play what's in front of you and see what happens. But um, if we got back to Philly, I'd be shocked.
I think it ends tonight, my friend. I think the bats are cold. Although, with that said, I do not think Harper will go out with his lasting image being what it's been so far through the first 2 games. I do think we get a Bryce Harper appearance, whether it be a big time double or maybe a 4-for-4 game or a 3-for-3 with a walk. Like I think we get a really good Bryce Harper appearance. I just don't know if it's going to be enough there. And I think you guys are going home. I'm rooting for you though. I hate the Dodgers. Anytime I get to root against the Dodgers, I will actively do so. And then of course, I want you guys to have success. Like I feel like I've adopted the Phillies as like my second team. Like all Philly sports has just been adopted as my second team there. Especially in the leagues that my team sucks. So
your team's got to spend money, bro. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's not going to happen for another 2 years until we sell the dole and sell the team, but it's coming soon. Report just came out today that within the next year or 2, they will be selling. So just hoping new ownership is good.
Gene said 78 speed. That's suspect, bro.
That sounds a little high. How you guys talk?
What do you mean?
78 speed out of 100 out of 99.
It's kind of
high.
It's kind of like an inside joke with the Tuesday team, but
okay.
It's regardless. It's too high, and that's I mean it's coming from me. I'm well aware of what my speed figure is.
Then last series, we got the Cubs versus the Brewers. Brewers are down right now, 4-3, but they are up in the series 2-0.
I think the Brewers have too much depth. I fully expected Chicago to win tonight. I think they'll hang on and win this game. Same kind of thing though. I think Milwaukee closes them out tomorrow. They've just been flown under the radar, man. They got a team that they from top to bottom they hit pretty well. I don't think they have a bona fide ace. Like they don't have Corbin Burns like they did a couple years ago. but they have like a bunch of like threes. They got like 5 threes. So, they're not necessarily going to go out and like shut you down, but they're also all going to go out there and like give you 6 innings, like 2 or 3 runs, and keep you in every game. And if you hit, you win. So that's kind of how Milwaukee plays, and it won them a lot of games this year. They play really good defense, fundamentally very sound, and they got a lot of guys that have been there for a while. And some of the young guys, some of the rookies they've had the last couple of years are all those guys are all contributing now. So, um, and Freddie Peralta is taking a big jump this year. He's probably their best pitcher. Um, and they just don't. Nobody talks about them. Like I mean, like everybody I know is like, Cubs are going to upset them. Cubs are going to get rid of Milwaukee. Like it's going to be Chicago versus LA or Philly. Like, and I'm just like, I don't see it. I don't see it. Uh, and Milwaukee's been really good the first 2 games, so they've kind of clawed back into this one. So we'll see what happens. There's 2 innings to go in that, I think. But
So I mean, just like how we were talking about with Toronto, though, like the eight runs, like through like averaging 8 runs a game. I almost thought like after seeing the first 2 games, you said that you thought the Cubs were going to bounce back and take care of business tonight. I thought this was the case of the Brewers just taking their heart, like taking it out of it. I mean, 9 and then 7, and Cubs only scoring 3 both nights. Like, of course, going back to Wrigley, like I knew that the Cubs would have some fight there, but it just felt like the Brewers were just full on beat down, carrying their momentum from the regular season, even with not having to play there. So I think this is a Brewers team that's legit. And I honestly, they're down right now. I would not be surprised if they won the game tonight.
no, not at all. 1-run game. Like I said, I looked at it earlier. I think Chicago was up. I think 4-0, 4-1. It's 4-3 now. So it's going to be it'll be a nail biter for sure. And like I said, I think Milwaukee's just a better team. Um, Chicago is a team. I picked to make the playoffs this year, and they're young, and I think they're ahead of schedule. There'll be another team that'll be in the market for pitching. You got PCA. Came out of nowhere this year. Gene Messon, Jackson Churio for Milwaukee has been incredible. You know, both teams are young, and they're just going to keep getting better. So, I just think again, I think with the experience and with the pitching, I just think Milwaukee's just way too much for Chicago.
I feel it. Same here. I got Milwaukee taking care of business. Like I said, I think they win tonight. If they don't win tonight, I definitely think they'll take care of business in game 4 there. Jory, I'm with you. Everybody not named the Yankees and the Dodgers. I don't want the Dodgers to win either.
Yeah,
so
I don't like the Dodgers either, but that's usually my sentiment every year. So I'm with Jory.
But that's it for MLB. Like I said, I'm sure we'll talk about it more as we progress here. Gene, I'm very curious to know of the all 4 series who you got to advance, so then we could talk about it more next week. I know you said Seattle earlier, but curious your thoughts on the other 3 series there. But Bill, we had a good week of football. Some surprises, some teams getting their first losses. We had a team pick up their first win in the Saints. I mean, this was an eventful week of football.
Oh, I thought you were talking about UCLA. My apologies. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Saturday and Sunday upset bug both days. We can start with the professionals if you would like. Saints picking up a win. I'm sorry, what a crazy. I gotta go back and look. All I know is this:
Patriots beat Buffalo in Buffalo. Obviously, you guys lost.
No, yeah. There was that game.
My bad, Jory. Tennessee picked up their first win too. Arizona absolutely handed a football game away.
That is one of the worst, like, piss down your own leg kind of scenarios that I can remember in a long time. for the way the Cardinals won that game. And the funny thing was, I remember looking at it. It was like 2 minutes into like the second quarter, they were like 21-6. I'm like, oh damn, my Cardinals
It's
are going
over.
to blow them out.
Had them in a
Pay
parlay. I
no,
didn't
pay
even think
no
about it.
same, pay no attention to it. No attention to it. I lost my parlay because of the Eagles, so it didn't matter. But I remember going back to look at it. I was like, how the hell did Arizona lose? And I go back and look at the highlights. I'm like, Jesus Christ. You got coaches freaking yelling at people. I mean, where do you want to start? What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
I mean, I think this is the perfect time to talk about hitting the are we hitting the panic button in Buffalo? Are we hitting the panic button in Philly? Like, I'm sure you have thoughts on the Phillies losing their first game there. Of course, it wouldn't be week 6 if we didn't talk about AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts' connection, and them not getting along right now. And then on the other side, I mean, Buffalo losing at home, getting handed their first loss from the Pats in the Stephon Diggs return game. It was definitely something that was very surprising to me, especially the way that it happened. Buffalo turning the ball over a ton, and for the most part, the Patriots defense holding that Bills offense really at bay for the majority of the game.
We can start in Buffalo. I think it's probably clearly Drake May's best start of his career so far. Have to hand it to him. He made a handful of incredible throws in that game. Stephon Diggs looked like prime Minnesota Vikings Stephon Diggs for one night. And I think it was just an uncharacteristic night, like you said. Buffalo turned the ball over. If they don't do that, I don't think there's any shot they lose that game. But um, I also think you got to give New England a little bit of credit. And again, I think that's a lot of the Mike Vrabel effect. We knew they were going to be a different team this year. You could say what you want about what went on in Tennessee, but he had a bunch of really good teams down there, and they were always tough teams. Didn't lay down, always scrappy. He got the most out of his players down there. To think he was going to do anything different in New England, I think is kind of nuts for people that were going to write him off going up there. And that team is young, and they'll probably just keep getting better as long as they can keep building around May. And May continues to progress and get better himself. So part of me is not surprised. I think more so for me, the surprising part was your first point. It was just that Buffalo was just like allergic to the football. Like very uncharacteristic game for them in that aspect. Because like I said, if they don't do that, I don't think there's any shot they lose the game. They kind of kept New England in it, but New England made the most out of all their opportunities. Diggs definitely had his revenge game. He went for like 10, 170, something like that, or
Yeah,
something
something
close to
crazy.
that. He went nuts. As far as the Eagles, I'm not pushing the panic button in regards to them for a couple reasons. Um, Everybody is harping on the running game and Saquon and this and that. Our offensive line is so banged up, it's crazy. I mean, we have guys playing that shouldn't be playing. Um, we even have backups that are not healthy. So that's part of that. Um, the offensive play calling needs to get better. The OC needs to kind of open it up um, and let those guys play a little bit more. Again, I'm of the on record of nature. I think Jalen and AJ are fine in regards to. Um, I don't think AJ is going to flip out anytime soon or anything like that, unless they start losing a lot. Um, I think he's been fine. But that being said, I mean, you have top 5 receiving core in the league. You have to trust Jalen Hurts a little bit, and you got to start throwing the ball. I mean, especially since our line's banged up. We're not getting that push. We're not Saquon's not bursting 20, 25-yard runs all the time like he was last year, or even hitting the home run like he did so often. Um, you got to get people off. You got to get people out of the box. Dallas Goedert's had a great start to the year, but They got to get Devonta and AJ going. Takes the pressure off Jalen and the line. And then defensively, I would say the same thing. I think Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter have looked absolutely dominant at certain points of the season. And there's been other points. I mean, they got blown off the ball out last week. That can't happen. Not with both of them. We're not getting enough, consistent pressure off the edges. We got to start putting pressure on the quarterback too. That's the one thing we're lacking on the defensive side. But that all being said, NFC wise, I think we have the best roster. I think we still have the best team. It's a little early, so I'm not pushing buttons yet. Not for the Eagles.
I'll tell you what.
They go out and lose tomorrow night, maybe, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I'll tell you what, though, with the Patriots, I don't have anything against the Patriots, or I didn't have anything against the Patriots, but until they start playing TreVeyon Henderson, I am going to actively root against them. And it's not even just, well, I mean, of course, a big part of it is that he went to Ohio State. But for me, the other part of it is I've seen Ramondre Stevenson fumble 35 times, and we're only on week 5 of the NFL season at this point, and they just keep trotting him back out there, and it's not a problem for anybody. And I get it. They won this past week, big time win. He rebounded. He had 2 touchdowns, but every single week I'm seeing a Ramondre Stevenson fumble, and they can't get my guy TreVeyon out there on the field. And unfortunately, Antonio Gibson did tear his ACL, so I would expect to see some more Henderson snaps there. But Mike Vrabel, give the Buckeye a shot, man. I know he's got the talent to take care of business, so I'm hoping I see more of it. But until then, I'm actively rooting against the Patriots and their success there. I don't think I have a panic button hit for either team, though. In all seriousness here, I think with Buffalo, I'm going to count this as being that one division game. I feel like all the time you have throughout the season one division game that doesn't go the way that you would have thought it would have went on paper. And give a ton of credit to the Patriots for their game plan. And those fumbles were forced in that game. And the interception that they had, Josh did ultimately make a bad decision there. But New England was forcing those turnovers in the game there. And then offensively, it felt like the Bills had all the momentum in the world. They had went down, they had scored, but Drake May led the drive down the field to, ultimately win the game there. So have to give them a ton of credit for having the poise and just really keeping a really good Bills team at bay, especially up there in Buffalo. As far as the Eagles, though, I think that the biggest thing is going to be, when do they figure out the offense, or do they figure out the offense? Because yes, you're winning and that's great. But I don't want this, and I'm sure you guys don't want this to be 2023, where you were winning games and you got into the playoffs. Because I think that year as well, you guys started out like 8-1 or 9-1, maybe, and then
it's like 6,
yeah, and then you backdoored into the playoffs. So like, I don't want that number to be an indication of what the season would ultimately be there. And I think that has a big time chance of being the case if something doesn't change. No, Gene, I'm not giving you any blown call. I'm sure Bill will talk to you more about blown calls. Blown calls happen in every game. I don't want to hear about blown calls every single week with the Eagles. I'm not doing it. I'll let you talk about it when you come on in 5 minutes. So hopefully I'm getting you all riled up. So when you come on hot, and you have some fire for us. But no, I'm not giving you the blown calls. You're going to sound like those Chiefs fans here shortly.
The intentional grounding one was bad. It was like he was getting thrown to the ground and just kind of let the ball go. Like, there has to be intent there. He was not trying to throw that ball to that receiver. That guy didn't even know the ball was coming. They never should have picked that up. That was a bad one. I mean, everybody, even on the broadcast, and even the Gene Scatchator was like, I wouldn't have picked that one up. So that one was really bad. The other ones, again, it all happens in the game, but it's glaring. They have nobody to blame but themselves, though. They're up 17-3. You can't lose the game. They got to find a second cornerback.
completely abandoned the run in the second half too. And I get it. Saquon, well, now it's come out that because Saquon didn't practice on Monday and then he was limited yesterday, or he didn't practice Tuesday and was limited today or something like that. So, I mean, it comes out that Saquon wasn't fully healthy, but just not giving him touches there is.
He got dinged in the game because there was a spot. He had a good carry. You could tell he like came down like a little awkward, and he sat out like 6 straight plays, and then came in for to be the decoy on the touchdown pass. But again, I mean, there's no reason to abandon the run completely. Like Dylan's run the ball hard when he's been in the game. You could still use him and Shipley if Saquon's dinged up, but I mean, we're not running the ball effectively at all, no matter who's in there right now. And again, that a lot of that goes to the health, and I think some of it is also predictable play calling. So,
Look who we got.
What kind of jersey does he have on?
Let's bring him.
There
Let's bring him in.
What up, y'all?
What's up, Gene?
I appreciate all the talk so far, even though some of the stuff y'all saying was freaking wild earlier. Talking about people on short rest, teams coming back from 2-0 and they won game 1. You guys are wild.
Hey, I forgot they gave the Phillies and Dodgers the luxury of not playing back-to-back games. I mean, it's not my fault. I thought most teams play back-to-back. But I guess when you're big market and you're big money, they give you the night off after the first game.
Helps the Dodgers a lot more, helps the Phillies. But look, all I want to talk about in the Eagles game, I know you're talking about it real quick, is this. 4 calls in that football game absolutely changed the course outcome of that game. Number 1, the illegal shift. The illegal shift on Saquon Barkley. It's not 2 men in motion when the receiver is asking the end official if I'm on the line. So the situation happened very simply. Jahan Dotson pointed to it, happens almost every play. Hey, am I on the line? No, you have to scoot up a foot. He scoots up a foot. Barkley is in motion on the play, and they call that illegal shift because they never got reset because the receiver moved up after asking the official. He was not in motion. That is not motion. That's not an illegal shift. Number 1. I don't have that big of a problem with that one. I understand why they called it. I'll be over that. The intentional grounding one was awful. It was awful. The one against Goddard down the sideline that was PI that he literally it almost looked like Saints Rams in the NFC Championship game was awful. But the call I had the biggest issue with was it was 4th down and 2. Well, 3rd down, and then it would have been 4th down and 2. RJ Harvey is reaching out for the 1st down. Zach Bond hits him. He's in the air to hit him. There's no whistle blown. And they call a late hit on Zach Bond to give them a 15-yard penalty and a reset of downs, which burnt all Philadelphia's timeouts to give us no chance to come back. Do I think they would have won the game? I don't know. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they would have won the football game if the flags weren't called the way they were. What I'm saying is, when Troy Aikman says, I can't stand the Eagles, but they got hosed yesterday, and he's not even the broadcaster, Am I wrong? Yeah, you watched that game?
I brought up the intentional grounding one, which obviously also would have been loss of down. So that ends that series. But the Goddard one, I feel like the Goddard
wasn't Saints Rams. I'll tell you that.
It wasn't that, but I will say this to Gene's point. I feel like if it wasn't the second to last play of the game, it gets called.
100%.
Saquon run was kind of ticky-tacky, but whatever.
It was huge. It was 4th and 2. They completed 35-yard pass. The game's over.
The Bond one, I hate to say it, like, when it happened real time and they were like, oh, there's a flag on the play, I knew immediately that's what it was. He was late. I don't think there was ever any intent to hurt or anything like that, but the guy was down, like he was late. I don't think that can be the norm in the NFL. So that one I didn't really have a gripe with.
I'm just saying, Gene, you're starting to sound like a Chiefs fan right now. Lose the game, and now we're just hearing about the yellow hankies on the field.
Chiefs have bigger problems.
Oh, I mean, without a doubt. No rebuttal.
Oh, I don't need a rebuttal. I got you right here. I got you right here. Watch. That is not a late hit. He is reaching for the first down.
He's down, bro.
Let's watch again. Ball is in the air now.
He's down.
That's not a late hit. He's reaching for the first down.
But he's down.
Watch right here. Vaughn is
and there he's down.
Feet.
He's not on his feet. He is down. I see it.
His knees are down. It is.
His knees are down.
Listen, I'll go with you on pretty much all the other ones. My point is watching that live. As soon as they put the little thing on the TV and it's like flag on the play, I knew immediately that's what it was because I felt watching it live right away that it was late.
It reminded me of the Brandon Graham late hit they called on Monday Night Football versus the Commanders. That gave the Commanders that win, that one miracle win the year the Eagles went to the Super Bowl in 2022. Reminded me very similar.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember that game because the Commanders had no business winning the football game. But I don't remember that specific play, but that's interesting.
But
you hitting the panic button, Gene? Bills or Eagles?
I'm not hitting the panic button. They went through the toughest part of their schedule and they're 4-1. I want to go no panic button.
It really should have been 5-0.
What I asked Bill though, like the reason why I asked panic button because 2023, very similar situation. You go, I forgot 8-1, 9-1, but we saw the offense had the struggles that it had, and then we know how the back half of that regular season ended. Is it clearly you guys have more talent now, but does this remind you of that at all? Does that thought at least creep in the back of your mind? Like that's why I asked, like, are you at least around the panic button, or is it like this is different because
Control, you've been in our group chat. What did I tell you the moment when they hired the offensive coordinator from within?
Oh, we were on the same page there.
I said this is a terrible idea.
But I thought it would be. We both said I think 11-6 for the Eagles this year.
Yeah.
They're probably going to outperform that. I said though, for me, like just right now, the wins aren't masking the problems. Like the problems that we said why they would be 11-6 are still there. They've just found ways to win those football games so far. So I can understand not having, hit the panic button. It's like, all right, we're still figuring things out and we're 4-1 at this point. While we're figuring things out, I'm absolutely good with that. We got the Giants coming to town this week and, we get to potentially figure it out against them. Like I can understand that. I just was curious though, your guys' mindset literally just being in a very similar situation just 2 years ago.
I'm not panicking. I just wish the Eagles offensive coordinator could tell his head between a hole in the ass.
Between that, like I said, they just got to get healthy too.
Our offensive line is brutal.
Yeah, the offense. Yeah, I said that. I don't know if you caught that part. I mean, we're playing guys that shouldn't be playing, and then some of the backups are even banged up. They got to get healthy there, and then a lot of the woes go away because if the starting five is all there and healthy, they're moving people and Saquon's running the ball. So I mean, that's one of the biggest things right now.
Any games you guys want to talk about this week?
It's a weird slate this week.
I mean, the fun games are all primetime. They're all primetime this week. So the one thing you look at those that 4:00 game. I love it. I love seeing it. The San Francisco 49ers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, two teams that are 4-1 that barely won football games. The Lions at the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Really looking forward to that one. And then, I'll get into another one on Monday Night Football I like. And my picks.
Well, picks? I think it's time for picks.
Let's just do picks.
Let's do it then. you guys had a phenomenal week of picks, both going 3-0. Or did you go 3-0 in college football, Bill? One of you, I know you guys both went 3-0.
I was 3-0 in college.
I was 3-0, bro.
Fantastic.
I've had a decent
13-2 is incredible. My 9-6 normally looks good right now, but when it's next 13-2, it gets put to shame.
Take him to the bank, people. Take him to the bank. He's hot.
Well, Cottrell start us off.
All right. So my picks that's from last week. My picks this week. First game, I like Seattle plus 1.5 at Jacksonville. Look, I am not buying into Jacksonville. No, they had a good win against the Chiefs this past week, but I think Seattle's offense will be able to put up points in Jacksonville. And you give me 1.5, I think Seattle's going to win the game out right there. So I'll take that as my first pick. My next pick, I got Cowboys -3 on the road at Carolina. I think this Cowboys offense is going to have a field day against Carolina. I think that you're going to see a big time game from George Pickens. Javonte Williams going to be able to carry the rock there as well. And I think Carolina's offense is going to struggle a bit there. And then my last one's a little ugly. I got a bad team. You guys always say don't bet on bad teams, but I'm doing it this week. Give me the Bengals plus 14.5 at Green Bay in Joe Flacco's first start. I think Joe Flacco is going to go out there and he is going to have a couple turnovers in that football game, but he is also going to make sure he is distributing the rock to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And that is a team. He's going to have 300 yards passing in that one. They're going to score points. I don't think they're going to beat Green Bay because Joe is a statue in the pocket. So Green Bay will get stops. But I'm telling you right now, the Bengals will put up points with Flacco there. So I like the Bengals to cover that huge 14.5 point spread there.
All right. First game, I'll start with Seattle Jacksonville because I'm going the other side of it. Seattle traveling cross country after a tough loss. I think Jacksonville's playing a little bit better than people think. I'll take a -1.5 at home. Second game, Arizona, which we talked about earlier. They keep inventing new ways to lose games. Going to Indy, Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones. They've been pretty much unstoppable so far. Indy -6.5. I'll take them at home. And last but not least, I don't know how the Giants are going to score. They have no receivers. I don't know if Jackson Dart's going to try to run the ball 40 times a game, but regardless, I think the Eagles come out Thursday night a little bit pissed off. I think the Eagles hand it to the Giants on Thursday. I'll take the Eagles -7.5.
I hate having the same game as Shalley. I really do.
It's rude.
All right, pick a third one. Different one. All right. Got some fun ones. This could be my 0-3 week. It's coming soon, but we'll see. I'll start off with this one. The Falcons' offensive identity is running the football. What the Buffalo Bills have problems with is stopping the run. I'll take the Falcons plus 4.5 at home over the Buffalo Bills. I love them to cover. I like them to win. Give me the Falcons plus 4.5 over Buffalo. Then we'll ask if they're panicking in Buffalo. And next game on the docket, I'll take the Panthers plus 3.5 at home versus the Dallas Cowboys. Look, Rico Dowdle, Shuba Hubbard, I don't care. And the Cowboys defense isn't good. And I think that the Panthers are going to be able to move the ball efficiently. And I don't see Dak traveling back-to-back weeks and having good football games. I'll take the Panthers plus 3.5 at home. Give me 3 in the hook over the Cowboys. And then last but not least, I'll take the Philadelphia Eagles -7 in a hook over the New York Giants on Thursday Night Football. The Saquon, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts meeting, I don't know. The offense puts up 35 this week. The Giants stink. Give me the Birds.
So I got a game directly against Bill and directly against Gene. I like it.
I got the Niners, by the way. John Suggs.
I'll take the Bucks.
Give me the Niners.
All right. Well, we're ready to get over to College football?
Yes.
Yeah, Gene's here. Gene's here for the big announcement.
I am.
Yeah. So, big news last week. Penn State dropped the game to UCLA. Gene, we normally talk about, what team are you going to endorse after Penn State gets their second loss? Usually it's to Ohio State, or, sometimes it's their first loss and, it's to Ohio State. But Penn State's got 2 losses and we're barely in October. Gene, the time for the decision is here. What team are we going to be we endorsing the rest of the way?
You guys, so first of all, I am endorsing a new team. Be very clear here. And by the way, shout out to Penn State. Shout out to them Nittany Lions picking me up 30 Superdog points, like 35 or 30, whatever it is. Superdog points. I appreciate you guys. Now I will be actively rooting against the Penn State Nittany Lions the rest of the season in hopes that Fire Franklin becomes a dream that I 100% can get behind. My national championship prediction now, my new team that I'll be endorsing.
I'm really curious.
Give me Carson Beck and the U. I'll take the Hurricanes, baby. Going down in the ACC to blow your doors off. I'm back with Carson Beck. Georgia moved on from him. He learned how to play football down there. I got the Miami Hurricanes winning it all.
I mean,
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't have anything against the Hurricanes specifically, but that would actually piss me off if Miami won a championship this year.
Why?
I'm not big on Carson Beck. I don't really like Mario Cristobal. I feel like he's like in the same boat as Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin, but like he just doesn't say the stupid things in the media like to go with it.
I feel like Alex is taking us towards Mario a little bit though.
Do you want to know why I'm so on the U right now?
Why is that?
Because they have no losable games left on their schedule. So my thought process is they'll get the highest possible seed and they'll get themselves like a bye and then a shitty team. And I think that you understand? I think they walk into the semis.
Okay. I mean, I can definitely understand it. And
it's plausible.
And Bill, you're 100% right. Alex definitely has a stake in me not liking Mario, but just the boneheaded decisions that happen year after year. Miami should have been in the playoffs last year with Cam Ward. Mario cost them a game.
True.
So I mean, and then we know what happened. What was it against Georgia Tech? Oh my God! I mean, one of the worst decisions I've ever seen.
What are we doing?
I think the only losable game left on their schedule is at SMU.
No,
I think that's their only losable game left on their schedule. They're not going to lose at home versus Louisville. They're not going to lose at home versus Stanford. God no. Then they play at SMU. Then they play Syracuse at home. NC State at home. At Vatech. At Pitt.
Yeah.
The only losable game is at SMU.
Yeah, no, he's spot on there.
So I took my thought. I took my my thinking cap on.
I like it.
See, most people get to just root for their team to win the national championship because they're involved in the November. No, not me. Not me.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Bill picked your team to win the national championship before the season started.
Should have known better.
Bro, I think Franklin's press conference after the UCLA game was like, I wish you would have fired him immediately. Like right there.
I said I would have let him back on the plane. No way he would have got back on the plane.
We're a good team.
Yeah, it's really tough travel after that emotional loss.
We're a good
guys. That's your job, you dumbass.
I
would have Lane Kiffin them. Left them around the fucking tarmac.
I think the other interesting part, though, is that they weren't the only big-time team to lose this weekend to a team they had no business losing to. Texas also lost to Florida, and Arch did not look good in the game whatsoever. I'm very curious because two of your top three teams in Ohio State and Oregon, their best wins are against Texas and against, Oregon's Penn State. What does that mean for the Buckeyes? What does that mean for Oregon? Like, does that add to the conversation of, well, they haven't really played anybody, or we don't really know what they are yet, because now these teams are looked at as like they stink. So very curious. And Gene, that's why I didn't really give you too much flack for the Miami pick, because I got question marks of my own there from everybody at this point. Like, I don't know what's real in college football right now.
No, but it adds to what he said, though. Like, I mean, they run the table. They're going to be one. I mean, Ohio State's got what? They have Penn State left. They have Michigan. Who else do you guys have? You got Illinois this week. I mean, you're going to have a couple ranked wins. I think it probably hurts Oregon more, because I think after Indiana, I don't know what else they have left.
I don't think much.
So I mean that could hurt them more than it's going to hurt you guys. Listen, I said this a couple weeks ago on Coast to Coast. I don't know why Sark gets a pass, like deservedly so, with like Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin and James Franklin, but Sark loses a lot of big games too, and he constantly gets a pass. Like it's like whatever. Like next year they have blah, 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 blah. It's always something. I don't trust me. They fired Mac Brown like 2 years after a national championship. I don't know why they're being so patient with Sark. And on top of that, Arch probably had unrealistic expectations coming into college, but he's not even in the ballpark of reaching any of them. He doesn't look like a really good quarterback right now.
That's because he's not yet. And we talk about Sark. We if anybody had a bit worse press conference after their game than James Franklin, it's definitely Steve Sarkisian. Like, what a moron thing to say. He goes, well, we did play at Ohio State and at Florida. It's a lot. It's really tough to do. Florida was 1-3 when you played them.
Right.
That'd be like James Franklin be like, well, UCLA is a really good basketball program. So
Billy Napier pulls another rabbit out of the hat, bro.
The Swamp is a tougher place to play. I understand that, but like USF went in there and got a win. You're Texas. You're supposed to go in there and win that football game. So no, Gene, you're again spot on with that. Sark, James Franklin. The thing though is that Penn State at least has a favorite. I think Ohio State. I mean, you use the UCLA. Who knows who else you might lose to, but Ohio State should be their last loss of the year. Texas has a absolute gauntlet that they still have to run.
Yeah, but I mean, even if Penn State just loses to Ohio State, who's their best win then? Villanova? Like what? Like what? Like they have no resume to get in.
They're not getting in. I'm not talking about that. But if we're talking about who Penn State's best win is, it wouldn't be Villanova if they just lost to Ohio State. You realize that, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm being sarcastic, but who is it for real though?
Like Penn State, if they just lose to Ohio State, their best one would be Indiana.
Oh, they're not beating Indiana, not right now.
Well, that was the question.
Okay, that's fine. Right. And no, it's fine. It's the right answer. I didn't know Indiana was still on their schedule. Wild to assume that we're assuming that they beat Indiana is my point.
I'm not assuming shit. I want them to lose every game. I hope they lose to Northwestern.
Oh, they lose to Northwestern, then I don't know. I
want him fired. So how else can I get him fired?
Bro, I'm with you. It's $50 million.
I love that Bo Prabula is playing so well at Missouri. I love it. He's in the Heisman right now.
I would say Drew Aller's pretty far down the list of people to blame for the UCLA game.
Drew Aller was arguably the best player.
Correct. I get what you're saying about Drew, and again, the whole point of bringing Andy Kotelnicki in there was to have a quarterback like that, and then Drew Aller comes back, and the guy, like literally the prototypical guy for that offense, is like, all right, well, I got to leave so I can go play. So like that sucked, but listen, man, I know we're making fun of it and we're having fun with it, but I don't internally, and we talked about this on Saturday. and we've talked about it on this show before. What is the standard of Penn State right now? Like what is the acceptable standard? Like this isn't Ohio State, Michigan, and everybody else anymore. Like Oregon's going to be there for, whatever. Like we're all assuming Lincoln Riley eventually is going to get USC on the right track. Washington's going to continue to get better. Like are the standards of Penn State now just be like, hey, we'll be the 4th or 5th best team, and if we make the college football playoff, great. If not, like, oh well. Like you gave a guy $10 million a year for 9 years to lose you 3 or 4 games a year, like barring last year. Like if I find it hard to believe internally that that's going to be okay going forward. And his buyout, I believe, is what, 50?
I hate when people say it's hard. The reason that it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, no shit's hard. That's why you get paid $10 million a year to do it. It's hard.
I hate that. It bothers me so much.
I'm with you. But my point being this, like, I think James Franklin is a guy that's good at kind of rebuilding a program. He's good at recruiting. He's just not a great coach. And you need, like, said this before, go look at the last 10, 15 national championship winners and tell me which one of those teams didn't have a great coach. Kirby's got 2. Ryan Day's got 1. Urban Meyer's in there with a couple. Nick Saban. Like, you're talking about the elite of the elite. James Franklin's not that. Like, there's got to be an honest conversation. That is too good of a job and too good of a program to let him dilly-dally with it for the next 7 years and go 9-3 every year. Like, if you fire him tomorrow, minus, like I said, a small handful of guys like a Ryan Day or something like that that's out of school like that, minus those guys, Dan Lanning, Kirby, you get any other coach you want in the country to go to Penn State. It's a small handful of guys that don't have to be like, you know what, I'll get on the plane and come talk to you. There's only a small handful of guys that could say, I'm not interested. Everybody else has to at least fly there and listen. It's that good of a program. And if that's what Penn State wants to do, cool. But then you this is what it's going to be. This is the best team he's ever had. If he can't, to Gene's point, if this is too hard to go to UCLA and beat a team that looked like walking dog shit for the first 3 weeks, if that's too hard for you to do with your 2 great running backs, your quarterback, and everything else, if that's too hard for you to do, then you shouldn't be in the Big Ten. It's not for you. Go somewhere else. Go rebuild. Go rebuild some other program. But that's what he is. He's not an elite coach. And until somebody has to have an honest, wants to look in the mirror and have that honest discussion at Penn State, this is what you're going to have.
They named their OC 3 days before the game on Saturday. 3 days prior to the game, they named their before ever.
Great point. We're talking about a UCLA team that fired their head coach already this year. That's how good they were.
So OC was named, never called plays 3 days before. It's awful.
Well, I mean, UCLA did score on every single time UCLA touched the ball. It ended in points for their team. Like, they didn't punt, they didn't turn the ball over on downs. Every single drive ended in points for UCLA. Well, I mean, at least you guys signed the top defensive coordinator in college football, give up 42 points against Nico. So I mean, I'm glad to see he's still the same there as far as giving up points in the big games, especially early there. It's like I'm glad to see Jim Knowles fall like how he is like falling right now. But as far as James Franklin goes, it is such a weird spot if you're at Penn State right now, because I feel like he's not the guy. But to Bill's point about the buyout, like, that buyout number is so big because you just extended him. They're going to have to get all of their donors to get on board and be like, hey, we're going to fire Franklin, but we're going to need a lot of help as far as recruiting goes, getting the next guy in. we're going to need you guys to be on board. And I think they would be, because Penn State is that kind of a job. But that's a conversation that needs to be had, and you're going to have that's not just going to be the AD making a decision to fire Franklin. It's going to be a lot of people in one room having a tough conversation about James Franklin not being their guy and giving him $50-60 million to go and coach somewhere else.
You're not lying. We got to move, though.
Let's get into pick 'em.
We got time. We're going late tonight. Special edition.
9:09, brother. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right,
Special edition.
Still struggling here, but another week where did cash on another super dog.
Look at that super dog points. I'm right back in it. Thank you, Penn State.
Super dog across the board has been very successful.
Shout it 9-6, little 3-0 action.
I won two games last week by half a point.
I lost 2 games by half a point. By the way, if I would have got the spread that the whole world got, see, this is the part where it hurts us picking on Wednesday.
It does.
If I would have got the spread the whole world got last week in that, what game was it? I got it. In the, I can't find it. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Can't find it.
All right. I'll give you time here to find it, because I'm going to run through my picks here real quick. I got some odd ones that I see touching the board this week. So I feel good about this game here. Well, these three, actually. All three of them I feel good about. First one being, we just talked a ton about UCLA. Well, they got a new OC, and they figured it out offensively. I love the over 54.5 UCLA at Michigan State. They just put up 42 against Penn State. Surely they're going to put up at least 25 points against this Michigan State team, but don't let that fool you, though. UCLA's defense still stinks. Michigan State will be able to put up a ton of points in that one. So I see that one being a track meet. So I love that over 54.5 number there. Second game I like. I love Bowling Green plus 10.5 at home versus Toledo. Some good action. Eddie George is coming to Bowling Green and rejuvenized that team. They crossed out all the T's in town. Eddie George is an Ohio State back. Down here we crossed out all the M's. He crossed out all the T's everywhere. This is for real. This is legit. I like Bowling Green plus 10.5. This game's going to be absolutely incredible for some action. And then the last game, I like Iowa State minus 3.5 at Colorado. Iowa State is a team that's had a lot of success early on this season. Colorado has had their ups, they've had their downs, but this week Deion Sanders had another blood clot surgery, so he is away from the team for a little bit there. And while I do think they will try and rally around him, I ultimately think Iowa State is just a much better football team. 3.5 seems a little low, so I will take Iowa State there. And for my super dog, I'm going to roll with NC State plus 22.5 at Notre Dame. I think ultimately with Notre Dame, they're going to win this game. They're going to win it handily there. I just think NC State will do enough to get me just a little bit of super dog points in this one, because Notre Dame's defense has shown that they will allow points in these kinds of football games.
All right. I share one game with Cottrell. Seems just happen almost every week now, which is crazy. I'm gonna start out west. I'm going Rutgers at Washington minus 9.5. Washington's defense has been great all year, minus the Ohio State game, and they still put up a pretty good fight in that game. I don't think Rutgers is going to go out there and score a bunch of points. They're a little banged up offensively as well. I think they're on the third string running back. I like Washington minus 9.5 at home. Second game, I'm going Indiana plus 7.5 at Oregon. I don't know if they have enough to pull off the upset, but I think they're going to go out Eugene. I think they're going to be able to throw the ball. They're going to move the ball against that Oregon defense. I think they keep it close. I think they keep it interesting. I think the Ducks ultimately win, but I'll take the 7.5 with the Hoosiers. Last but not least, Arizona State plus 5.5 at Utah. I know Utah has been a little bit better than expected this year, but I think Arizona State's finally kind of got the train back on the tracks the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think they'll probably win the game outright, but if they don't, I don't think they lose by a touchdown. I think it's by a field goal. So I'll take Arizona State plus 5.5. And then NC State plus 22.5 at Notre Dame. I have the same game as Cottrell for underdog or for superdog. Sorry.
All righty. I have 3. And Cottrell tried correcting me over one of mine in the chat, to which I sent him a screenshot to show him the spread that I have. I have Texas plus 1.5 over Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. Sark better get it going. I think Texas is the better team than Oklahoma. I think that Arch Manning gets it going this week. I like Texas. I don't even know if Oklahoma's star quarterback is going to play this week. It's up in the air. So give me Texas plus 1.5. While the whole world's on Oklahoma, give me the Longhorns. Second, give me Georgia Tech minus 14.5 over Virginia Tech. I think they blow them out. I think they win this game handily. I'll take Georgia Tech minus 14.5 over Vatech. And then for my third game, you want to talk about letdown city. Letdown city is Florida. After winning that big game versus Texas, give me A&M minus 7.5 to absolutely pummel Florida in A&M. And then for my super dog, I really didn't have anything I liked. I didn't like the Notre Dame game. I'm going to go with Charlotte plus 17.5 over Army. Maybe I'll get a point or two. I'm not really thrilled with this pick. I just didn't find anything I really liked.
Cool. And then real quick here, I know you guys want to get over to the Phillies. UFC card did happen. Really just wanted to go over the two big fights, the main and the co-main for the belts there. Merab looking like Merab in that fight. Very decisive win. And then the other fight, the main event of the evening, Alex Pereira took care of business rather quickly to regain the light heavyweight championship. Want to get your guys' thoughts on that real quick here before we close out the show.
I want to tell you something. It's the first time I've ever had a man change my opinion on a fight on the show. I went over Adrian's house. I could tag Nick Reyes, but he's at the Yankee game right now. I went over Adrian's house. We watched a fight. Before the card started, I picked 4 fights. I gave him all 5 fights. He goes, "Who do you like in the fights?" I'm like, "I don't gamble anymore." But they both put in a 5-fight parlay. When it got to Alex Pereira, I said, "You know what? I really changed my mind on this fight. I think Alex Pereira is going to come in and knock him out." So they get to the last fight. They win the first 4. We picked all 4 right fights correct. Joe fight for crazy, forget his name, maniac, Merab,
Yuri.
So we get to the last fight, and they're like, "Should we cash this out?" And the cash out they were offering was like nothing. It's like 100 to win 1,500 with the UFC boost, and they're offering like 300 to cash out before the Alex fight. They're like, "Should we cash out? Should we cash out? Should we cash out?" I looked at Alex's face before that fight. I looked at his face when he was coming out. I said, "No, Alex is going to knock him out. It probably won't go into the second round." I tagged Nick in the chat just so he can back me up in this. He'll probably comment later. He's at the Yankees game. But that's the Alex I want to see walking into fights. That is the serial killer I want to see walking into fights. He was an absolute – he looked it immediately. And 2 of my friends cashed out $1,500 each on a 5-fight parlay with Merab and Alex Pereira at the end.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because I thought this weekend was a very predictable card too. Because I also did have a parlay on it, but I didn't pick Merab to win. I just had it going the distance because I was like, I think Merab's going to win this fight, but it going the distance had better odds just in general there. But yeah, I was right there with you. But I had Alex winning on mine though, so I didn't have winning by knockout, but I did get him on the money line at plus money. So very predictable card, but it was a very good card. I mean, you had every fight on the main go to a finish besides Merab, and even Merab's fight was entertaining because of how dominant it was.
100%.
Any thoughts, Bill?
No, I mean, again, I think Marab fight, I don't think was really that surprising. Came in, pushed the pace, does what he normally does. Kind of very, I guess, workman-like performance. I don't want to say the prayer fight was shocking. I mean, like, I think if we all expected if he was going to win the fight, that's how he was going to win the fight. But anytime you see the champion get knocked out at the same time, it's a little bit it's a little bit surprising. So I don't think I think we'll probably definitely get the trilogy there, obviously. They'll run it back one more time, but those big guys, I mean, it's what you expect. When you have guys hitting that hard, you get in the cage. I mean, it just takes one. So happy for Alex to get his belt back, and you guys mentioned the Yuri performance. That guy's nuts. I don't know what else to say. He's a crazy person that they let fight people. But we'll see where that goes. And then Mr. Pfeiffer won again too. So it was a fun card.
For sure. Well, it's about that time, gents. So I will start us off here. We have not talked about it really too much at this point here. I don't know if I'm stealing your thunder here, Gene, but I might be. I got DeMarcado dropping the ball in the end zone after a 72-yard run that would have ended in a touchdown. Drops the ball, goes through back of the end zone. It is a touchback, and ultimately the Cardinals end up losing the football game. Now, of course, that is a big time. You got to be kidding me there. That absolutely can't happen. I don't know the fascination behind dropping the ball as soon as you think you cross the goal line. Like, I don't know why players do that. I don't know why that's a trend. We've seen it happen so many times that you would think players would want to make sure they're in the end zone before dropping the football, especially in that moment of it being a crazy 70-plus yard touchdown. But there is more attached to that. So, of course, energy is high. Emotions are high. And on the sidelines, Jonathan Gannon goes over to DeMarcado, and he is talking to him. And he ultimately ends up putting his hands on him multiple times in this interaction. Now, I am a believer in that being okay in some aspects, like in the moment. I understand it happens. Like, I play football. I know the emotions run high there. But in this situation, this is a grown man that you are working with. He is professional. He is getting paid money. And you're putting your hands on him for what happened. I understand being upset about it. I understand chewing him out. It's something that absolutely shouldn't happen. And it's something that ultimately was a big part in the reason why you lost the football game. So I can understand the anger in that. But Jonathan Gannon, you have to know better. You have to not put your hands on these players, because if DeMarcado would have retaliated there, then we would have had an even bigger problem on our hands there. So this week for me, DeMarcado for the fumble, and then Jonathan Gannon compounding onto that.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
John, there's two of them.
I'm going a little off the thing here because I'm just getting tired of hearing about it. I will preface what I'm about to say with this. I couldn't name you a Bad Bunny song if you played it for me right now. But I will also preface it with this. I don't care where he's from. If you don't want to watch the halftime show, then don't watch it. All these players coming out and trashing the guy who I promise you as well, if you played them a song of his, wouldn't know it from a hole in the ground. All trashing him that he's from Puerto Rico, like that's some like our I don't understand, are there Puerto Rican players in the NFL? Like are Puerto Ricans not allowed in the country now all of a sudden? Mind you, it's it's land owned by freaking the United States. But Eric Dickerson, just the latest one today, telling him to take his ass back to keep his ass in Puerto Rico with however the hell he said it. I'm over it. Who cares? It's a halftime show at a Super Bowl. Everybody's ugly and prejudice is showing all of a sudden. Like I don't know who, everybody wanted to play the halftime show this year. There wasn't rumors that like anybody huge was going to do it. This guy has done nothing to anybody. He's a musician artist from Puerto Rico that sells a gazillion records every year. If you don't like him or don't know him or just simply don't like him because he's from Puerto Rico, you're the problem here, not Bad Bunny. Got bad news for all you people. It's not going to look good. It's not looking good now. It's not going to keep looking good. He's not going to back out of it. You guys all sound like just prejudiced, like scared people. Guy's going to go play a couple songs in the halftime of a football game. That's really it. I don't know why we're all getting worked up about it. So for this week, all this nonsense and just hate speech, it's stupid.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
That was one of the two. I'll take the other one. Yeah, he said keep his ass in Puerto Rico.
There it is.
With the comment. That was one of the two. The other one I have to mention. And I was whatever one you chose, I was gonna do two if you didn't. Man, this story is wild. And the more you read on it, the crazier it gets. But Mark Sanchez, a situation that happened in this is absolutely insane. So Mark Sanchez early in the morning approached a truck driver who was doing his job, told him he can't park there. The truck driver kind of ignored him, told him to get the F away. Mark Sanchez took liberty of going inside the truck driver's vehicle to attack him. The truck driver then maced him. Mark Sanchez attacked him, started beating the shit out of him. So the truck driver then in turn stabbed Mark Sanchez multiple times. So Mark Sanchez was in this situation to where he was walking around. He didn't want to go to the hospital and he was bleeding out profusely. So they took him. He finally ends up going to the hospital with stab wounds. And ultimately they find out what happened. And now he's arrested with felony battery charges for attacking this man. This guy, I don't know if you guys seen the picture of this dude, but he's definitely beat this shit. I'm going to share it with you guys real quick. This is insanity. Perry Toll, a 69-year-old man.
Sheesh.
I mean, his jaw's broken, his lips cut, his cheekbone is bulged into his face. Like, this is what a 69-year-old man looks like when a former professional football player attacks him. So I don't care that you got stabbed, Mark. Maybe you should mind your business and not tell a truck driver where he can park. I hope you get everything you deserve. You're a piece of shit for doing this. And that's why you got to be kidding me this week.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
By the way, I do want to mention one thing that you said, Charlie. You talked about Bad Bunny being from Puerto Rico. I didn't hear this outrage about Rihanna being from Barbados when she did that.
I don't.
We gotta get America.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, see, that part I think is funny because they won't say the quiet part out loud. Why so many people they have asked the last couple of years won't do it. You know, they've asked Taylor numerous times. Last couple of years, they've asked Pink to do it. They've asked a bunch of like popular American people and specifically females to do it, and they said no because of the way the way you guys don't give a shit about how your players treat women and how it's handled. Like, so like they don't want to say that part out loud, but it's like so now the R&B guy from Puerto Rico, now he's the problem. Like I just don't get it. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah,
that it is.
And again, I don't even like him. And I don't want to say that. I don't dislike him because I don't listen to his stuff. So it's like, if you don't want to watch it, then don't watch it. It's 10 minutes of your life.
You too, as an American, did anyone care?
No, because they're white Irish guys. Telling you, why?
Yeah, you ain't lying. Well, gentlemen, I before we end the show, if you don't mind,
Close this out, sir.
I missed the first 90 minutes of the show. We were doing like a little bit of a celebration of life for my godfather, my Uncle Gary, who passed away. yesterday at 12:06. It was it's rough, man. You know, like I look at my Christmas photos, and 4 of the 8 people that sit at my Christmas table are no longer with us. My godfather was incredibly selfless person. He didn't want to, he was suffering. He didn't want anyone to have to take care of him anymore. He felt like he was a burden on people when he wasn't. And it couldn't be further from the truth. He, incredible heart. If you ever needed anything, he'd be there for you in a moment. And he never wanted the spotlight. 30-second story is when he was turning 50, my grandmother wanted to throw him a surprise 50th party. And he goes, I don't want that. I don't want a surprise party. Do not throw me a party. I don't want to be the center of attention. I just want to have dinner with a few family members and celebrate my 50th birthday. He was so dead set against it because he just never could imagine himself being the centerpiece. Just a few short years ago, he walked his goddaughter down the aisle to her father, who was a week away from passing away when she got married. Walked her halfway down the aisle to walk her to her father, who walked her the last few steps while she got married. He passed away 1 week later while she was on her honeymoon. My godfather was just an incredibly selfless person, and I just wanted to dedicate, this show to him. And I love you, Uncle Gary, and I hope that you're arguing over who cooked the bacon too long between my dad and my grandpa up there in heaven. So, thank you. Any final comments, gentlemen?
Nope. Nada.
All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in this week to Wire Sports Podcast. I'm the NFL Genius, Gene Walzak. Hopefully, I can get a couple more wins in the NFL this week. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Control, Uncle Shally, Scholastic Shally, Mr. William Shawcross. And we are signing out.